everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad Gustafson and I share two books that we love and we think you should read when, Brad.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum.
Ba-da-da-da.
Right now. For those people are
I
like,
love the
what?
Pink Panther theme over
That's
there. I
right. Sorry,
love
I got
it.
distracted as occasionally happens. Yeah, you got to read these now. And Jen, I
Yes.
we've already done some connecting before this call, so I don't want people to think I'm being rude and not even saying hi. But can I go to my book talk? I'm
Go
dying
for
to
it.
share.
Do it right
Is that okay?
now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
here's the deal. I think this is a first in all the years that you and I have connected. I'm pretty sure I usually know the book I'm going to talk about and I'm ready and I'm dialed in. I actually changed books since you and I connected about a minute ago. I'm like, I noticed your background. That's what did it for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to talk about a different book. So this is just following my heart here. So the book I want to talk about came out today, Jen. So that probably gives you a pretty big hint
And
about.
I'm going to do a timeout here because the reason I am not talking about the book that I think you're going to talk about is because I thought you would talk about it. So I
Oh,
chose not
buddy,
to.
that is so. But we are on a wavelength here. So anyway, I was gonna maybe talk about that like next week or a couple weeks down the road. But I just all of a sudden your shelf reminded me. So sorry, people. I'm dialed. Here we go. Here we go. This is going to be one of my top 5 books of all time. Okay, so
Wow.
of all the years of all the books I've read, I'm putting it top 5. Now I have to admit, I was telling a teacher about this book a couple days ago, and they're like, "Brad, you say every book is your favorite book," but I had to clarify and say, "No, this one is. This one really is to the point where I suppose all readers are like demand sequels from authors, you know. But I will say the way that Kate DiCamillo brings together this group of characters who, in the first chapter, full transparency, you're kind of like, how is this going to work? But then
Yeah.
by chapter 2, 3, you feel like you're part of the family. Gradually, every chapter, you're falling more in love with characters, even characters that you didn't think you would fall in love with. Like you, so let me just share the book. The book is Ferris. Jen has it
Yes.
on her shelf, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I got to talk about that book and where to begin. So I think I'll just talk maybe about 2 characters, maybe 2.5 characters. Okay. So this Ferris is a very special child. She was born, well, her mom started having labor on a Ferris wheel, but I believe she made it to the around the circle and to the ground. And Ferris's beloved grandma, who I'm getting like emotional just talking about her grandma. That's how special Kate wrote this book, because you feel the characters and their connection for one another in this effortless way that Kate Kate DiCamillo is one of those rare people who it's like she's not even trying, and you just feel the characters. Although I'm sure she tries really hard because there's no way that could just happen. Anyway, Ferris's grandma catches her, before she hits the pavement, and hence her nickname is kind of born, or at least the origins of that. But here's this. I've never said this word out loud, so I don't even know if I know how to say it. But cacophony, is that how you say it?
Cacophony.
Okay, cacophony. All right, maybe I'll never say it again. But anyway,
Brad,
there's
pause, time out, time out. This is what learning looks like. I mean,
all
this is
right.
what it looks like, okay? And I love it. I love it. Go on.
All right, I must have maybe like read that word somewhere, but it fit. Like as I'm reading this book, there's a cacophony of characters,
Bingo.
meaning yeah, like meaning just this wide array and mix, and they come together, and it's like they were always meant to be together. So Ferris's beloved grandmother, the relationship between her, it's so interesting how Ferris gels with her grandma, and they have all these special moments. And then later on in the book, as the book evolves, Ferris walks in and sees her grandma kind of vibing with Ferris's younger sister, and that catches Ferris off guard because she's kind of like, I thought grandma was mine, like special to me. That was a neat um moment for me. Another interesting one that I did not see coming is Ferris's younger sister, Pinky. I don't even know how you describe her. I was gonna say like HE double hockey sticks on wheels, but her sister's ambition in life, mind you, young sister, I think she's maybe 6 years old in the book, is to be on a wanted poster. But this is not just a childhood ambition. She's really serious. She shows up and has the energy. Like she does not give blankety blank blank about anyone. So just her attitude with her family. She even tries to rob the local bank. Like literally, she's serious about her goals. This kid is driven. They're just not very good, not very helpful goals. Gosh, there's something on the tip of my brain, and it'll come to me before we're done here today. About the book that I should see. This is what happens when I go completely off script and talk about a book. But there's an endearing quality, and I know it'll come to me. But I do just want to say, comes out today, March 5th. If you're listening today, Ferris by Kate DiCamillo, one of the best books I've ever read. Oh, here's what it is. I knew it would come to me. One of the things I love is the cadence of the book. Kate has some repetition in the book,
Yes.
not like rhyming, but it's how I got to know these characters so well. It's their idiosyncrasies. So she will allude to what Ferris's dog does when Ferris goes to visit her best friend at the restaurant, how the person answers the restaurant door, just little things that aren't super explained, but it creates a familiarity with every single character where you start to know them so well. It's fascinating how I fell in love with however she did that. So I'm gushing a little bit, but I will just say this is one I could see teachers doing this as a read aloud and kids just loving it. There's a vocab aspect of it where one of the characters is a teacher who pours into Ferris and her best friend's life just by like stretching their vocabulary. So there's a cool aspect where lots of different words and vocab kind of show up. So I don't know, so many different reasons, but just on a personal level, forget reading it aloud to students, just for yourself. You got to read this book right now. It's Ferris. It's by the one and only Kate DiCamillo, and it is a home run. And I'm so glad you had it on your shelf, Jenn, so that I could do this unscripted pivot.
I love that. I have so many things to say. First is that I'm not at home right now. And so when I was looking at the books I had with me that I could potentially book talk, Ferris was on the list, but I thought, no, I bet Brad is going to book talk that book this week because I had seen you share a couple of things on social media and I thought, okay, maybe that's a hint about what he's gonna do. So I decided not to. But I'm so glad that you did on its book birthday because, you know, the thing about Kate DiCamillo, there's so many things, but not every book has to be a literary classic. Not every book has to contain the kind of layers that a Kate DiCamillo book does. But I just don't know of a living author today who consistently releases books that I think 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people are going to be holding this book up as one of the examples of the highest quality children's literature out there. And part of that has to do with the way that she crafts characters. Part of it has to do with her ability to hone in on stories that help kids be seen and also sort of helps us understand why, you know, the connection, how story connects us. But also, then this is my English teacher heart, the way that she is able to use language and punctuation and vocabulary and literary elements like parallel structure and the other things that you were talking about. I just don't see her as matched by anyone else. So many great authors out there, you know, who are creating books for kids right now, but there's nobody else like Kate DiCamillo. So I'm so glad that you chose to book talk
Yeah,
Ferris.
and I don't know, I'm going to sound really ignorant here. I don't know a lot about what you just said, but I will stay.
Brad, for our 3.5 viewers, I think Brad is still on cold medicine this week, and I think that's part of why he's being so
Yeah,
self-deprecating.
well, I heard you using like English teacher words, and God bless you. I admire you for it, and I'll do some googling later. But what I will say is, I was reading this, I wasn't noticing parallel structures of lines. It was my Jen. Like, I'm even looking at the cover, and it's reminding me of subtle things in the story that turn into things that you just fall in love with. I can't think of a word. I am going to obsess about this for like the next day. There might not be a word for why this book matters so much, because I don't just want to use a cliche word like it was awesome, but there's something about this book. I think you used it in what I would say, it's so connected,
Yeah.
and it's reading about people who are connected is powerful, and that's what I did. But then I also connected with it, but then maybe some of the language and the structure was connected. It was just effortlessly connected on multiple levels, and I think that is maybe why I loved it so much. It wasn't just one plane of connection. There were
Yeah.
lots of effortless planes of connection happening, and I feel so connected to the point where see it on your screen and it's shouting at me like, we're
Yeah.
connected. You got to talk about me.
I gotta say one other thing. I'm gonna quote our friend John Shu, who is president of the Kate DiCamillo fan club, by the way. But for our 3.5 viewers, if you have read Mr. Shu's professional book, The Gift of Story, in The Gift of Story, John says that if there was such a thing as getting a PhD in connection, that Kate DiCamillo would have that degree, that she has like a PhD in connection. And, I'm a nerd, so I think about like, I don't know if any university across this great planet of ours is doing a course just on the work of Kate DiCamillo, but if not, someone should get on that right away. I feel like if I were to design that course, that would be the theme that we would explore as running through all of her books, is the idea of connection and how story connects us. I mean, when we know someone else's story, and this is true in Ferris, once we know the story, it's really hard for us to dismiss someone. It's really hard for us to not have empathy for them, etc. And I feel like Kate, I've never met Kate DiCamillo, so I can't, speak from a place of expertise, but I have to feel like that this is intentional, that is something that fascinates and inspires her.
I might be the only person on the planet who has not met Kate DiCamillo, but I have
I haven't.
purchased. But there's a tie-in. It's a double whammy. And who has purchased a T-shirt that says Kate DiCamillo Fan Club? Because I
Yes.
gifted it to someone else who somehow loves Kate DiCamillo more than me. But anyway,
I love how you're not mentioning their name as though that is somehow secret, that it wouldn't be for fill in the
John,
blank
John
for.
Shu, and I'm
That's
glad you
right.
mentioned John, because this whole time I was thinking about him. So I'm glad that you just spoke it into existence.
John and I have a running joke whenever we're together. And I'm watching him present, whether we're presenting together or I'm just in the room while he's presenting. I keep a Post-it note and track all the different times he mentions Kate DiCamillo. It's like the DiCamillo tracker. I'm like the official, and I joke a lot with him about it, but I understand why. I mean, I understand why. So, gosh, well, this was
Love it.
fun. It's like I almost wonder if we should book talk another book, since we have spent so much time on Ferris. What do you think? Do you think we should just call this
It's
the
your
Ferris
call. I
show?
support you as the CEO of the show. I am following your lead here, Jen.
I think maybe what we'll do is let's call this the Ferris
I
episode.
love it.
Because I don't want to I have a book to share that I love. It's a book of my heart, but I don't want to give it short shrift. I want to make sure that we haven't spent 20 minutes praising another author and then going, oh, by the way, here's this one. Like, I want to
Could
make
we
sure.
do a Ferris toast? Or
Yes,
maybe I can try to
yes.
connect my book to yours somehow.
Let's figure it out. Okay.
All right. I
Ready?
don't know if,
Well, I guess I've turned it the right way,
all right,
right?
here we go.
Okay. Yay.
Did I do that right? All right.
Yay.
Awesome.
I love it. Yeah, let's just shake our books like
Yeah, I
this.
like
We'll
it.
have a Ferris dance.
Oh,
That's
that's good.
amazing.
Thank you,
Well,
Jen. My bucket it's always full after I connect with you, but I feel like it's 10 times full today. So thank you.
me too. And I hope our 3.5 viewers feel that way, because to me, if I could just be self-indulgence for a second, to me, this is the magic of this show. We don't prepare it, we don't script it. We simply come together every week to share books that are living in our hearts at that moment. And it's the thing I look forward to most each week. And I hope our 3.5 viewers find it just as special.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We will see you next week. But until then, if you can't get enough of our little show, you can find our archive along with links to all of our previous videos at readthisnow.net. Thanks, everyone. Happy reading.